How did Hopsin inspire a generation, from the likes of XXXTentacion to even Juice WRLD? See, nowadays hip-hop is a lot more of an accepting place of diverse cultures, and has grown throughout the years to be a healthy oak tree with many different unique branches. But this wasn't always the case. At one point, there was a certain style, aesthetic, and brand you had to upkeep in order to be successful within the genre. This was especially true in the early 2000s. Rappers such as Lil Wayne, Ludacris would wear expensive chains and expensive clothing. The topics would range from flexing about what a rapper could purchase to how dangerous they were. The polar opposite of this were rappers who were very lyrical and remained out of the mainstream spotlight in the underground. Because the underground had such a connection to battling, rappers had to show they were strong and didn't have vulnerability. But there was soon going to be room for another style of hip-hop, a style that was fresh and needed in order for the culture to move forward. A style where you could be weird, could be yourself, and didn't have to play into the hip-hop rules. Where you could be an outcast but keep lyrical content and contribute to hip-hop in your own way. Hip-hop needed someone who could speak to the kids in school who felt weird and felt alone on their own path in life. The rapper that would do this is America's Hopsin, whom you all know as Hopsin. Hop grew up in the valley outside Los Angeles, California. He started rapping when he was 14, rapping over DMX's Rough Riders Anthem as his first song. Hopsin would go on to get signed by Ruthless Records after he left high school, Eazy-E's label. Unfortunately, his relationship with Eazy's wife, who ran the label, would turn sour as she was over-controlling and not fully invested in Hopsin's vision as an artist. After Hopsin got released from a messy contract with Ruthless Records, he began the next phase of his journey. Feeling that he'd been chewed up and spit out by Ruthless, Hop decided he was going to create an empire by himself and not signing to a label. At this point in hip-hop, 2007, 8, 9, most artists were still going to expensive studios to record. Hop couldn't afford the studio time, so he began recording, engineering, and producing all of the music himself. Nowadays, that's normal for rappers to record in their bedroom and produce for themselves, but at the time, it just wasn't. Hopsin was ahead of his time, you see. Instead of spending thousands on the traditional creative process that the music industry had told him you had to, Hopsin had different ideas. He wanted to become a one-man machine with his output. Because Hop was a part of every process and doing everything himself, he didn't have to pay anyone, which means he owned all the music. But you see, it wasn't just the creative process of music that Hop was just doing himself. He was doing everything, from merch designs to shooting music videos by himself. In this video from 2009, Hopsin demonstrates how he uses a DIY tactic to shoot certain angles in his music video of Illmind.
Now, we got a nice tripod, not too low, not too high. This is what it looks like so far. Okay.
Nowadays, it's perfectly normal to shoot a music video by yourself with your iPhone. You might even edit on CapCut. Without knowing, Hopsin was laying a blueprint that would change the entire direction of hip-hop, being a one-man machine. Hopsin had a vision, and he wasn't going to stop until it materialized. Knowing the importance of a great brand, Hopsin decided to start wearing colored contacts. This one decision would help differentiate Hopsin from all other rappers instantly. You see, it would also make him completely unique and create an alternative character. As Hopsin was a massive comic and superhero fan, this choice made perfect sense. You see, let's break it down into two categories. Marcus was a shy, quiet, sweet kid who grew up in a normal neighborhood in the valley, just outside LA. Hopsin, on the other hand, was a confident, brash, and unforgiving artist. Someone who wasn't going to get pushed down and be told what to do at any cost. Someone who was going to stand up for the kids who got bullied in school. As things were about to fall into place for Hopsin, he would take a trip to New York to do a radio interview. Unfortunately, he didn't know that he had to perform a freestyle and it didn't go well. The host after would clown him on the internet, and for the next period of time when you looked up Hopsin, it came up with a bad review of a freestyle. Knowing that his talent was superior to this one brief incident, Hopsin set out on a mission to prove them all wrong by dropping Illmind of Hopsin. This piece was heavily inspired by the likes of Eminem, displaying amazing imaginative scenarios, raw punchlines, and multi-syllabic rhyme schemes. Multi-syllabic rhyme schemes are where you are rhyming more than one word at a time. For example, I start violence, cops come with the loud sirens, now I have to hop a barbed wire fence. Instead of just being a simple rhyme pattern, notice how there were multiple rhymes happening in two lines. Just like one of his inspirations, Eminem, Hopsin was starting to create a universe with the music. Just like Eminem had did on early albums like Marshall Mathers LP, Hopsin was beginning to do the same thing, using satire, imagination, and telling stories with his music. And again, bringing back to Hopsin's love of comics and superheroes, he loves fiction. But you see, it wasn't just fiction. Hopsin wasn't afraid to delve into his personal life and the challenging personal issues. Hopsin wasn't going to shy away from being vulnerable in his music. On his 2009 project Raw, there's a song called Heather Nicole, where he talks about the complications and repercussions of love, and expresses his inner struggle, even being open to the fact that he may need church or even counseling. His ability to address both his flaws and other people's flaws is what makes him a force to be reckoned with. In the illmind, he would take digs at the likes of Lil Wayne to Asher Roth, who were trending rappers at the time. You see, he didn't align with hip-hop's narrative and he wasn't afraid to let people know. Hopsin was also catching YouTube right at its infant stage. It wasn't normal for rappers to have popping YouTubes. Hop knew he didn't need millions of fans and chart-topping songs to be successful. All he needed was a loyal fan base that would ride or die for him, come to his shows, buy his merch, and tell their friends about him. In illmind 4, Hopsin went all in on poking the bear of hip-hop. This included mentioning how some rappers are just Illuminati puppets. He felt he had nothing to lose, so he began to take shots at bigger artists. This would include even targeting Tyler, the Creator.
Gimmicky ass fired up behaviors with whack beats and gap teeth like Tyler, the Creator. Motherfucker, you not dope.
Hopsin would make fun of how Tyler Edda wrote just to get attention in the song Yonkers. Because beef always brings attention, this began to bring Hopsin lots of momentum because it was being spoken about on many blogs on the internet. Hopsin would also address how he used to be a nerdy kid that everyone laughed at and now wanted to be friends with him, also showing his comedic side of cross-dressing his different characters. He really has a sense of humor. But illmind 5, ladies and gentlemen, that's where everything changes. On illmind 5, Hopsin decides to talk about the serious effects that drugs can have on young people and the harsh realities of life. No rapper at the time was being honest to their fans in the younger generations. Most rappers were promoting drugs and partying. Hopsin was promoting creativity, hard work, and standing up for something you believe in. The video for this was shot on another low budget and in one location. The song now has nearly 100 million streams on Spotify and over 100 million views on YouTube. Around this time, Hopsin was also building out his independent label Funk Volume with his high school friends Swizz and Swizz's brother Damian Ritter. During this period, there were only a handful of independent labels around. As Hopsin grew and gained a better understanding of the industry, so did the label. Everything from merchandise to shows to management was handled by people within the small independent label. With Hopsin at the realm, they built momentum every day, consistently dropping singles and videos on YouTube, which included behind-the-scenes content, comedic commentary, and exciting music videos. You see, in the current day, growing an audience involves constantly feeding them with new material, using platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Hop understood his audience and he knew what they wanted. Rappers like Dizzy Wright, Jaren Benton, and Swizz all signed to the label, and of course Kato on the track. You may be familiar with Kato on the track as he is now one of the most popular producers on the whole entire platform of TikTok. While all the artists had individual careers, they all moved as a unit. You could feel the camaraderie and spot how they were genuinely cool with each other. Funk Volume was a non-stop train. Every week there was content coming from each artist. This way the fans were never left unfed and they were always kept happy. Unfortunately, the Funk Volume empire would crumble in 2016 right before it would make real headway. The label was selling out shows all around the United States and really began to get esteemed recognition. A heated fallout between Hop and label owner Damian Ritter would lead to the demise of the label. You should also check out illmind 8 for Hopsin's opinion on that. And only recently, Hopsin and Damian Ritter would get together to do a podcast to break down what actually happened with the fallout of the label. It's truly unfortunate that they never reached the heights of success that they really could have hit. R.I.P. Funk Volume. While Funk Volume may have crumbled, Hopsin didn't and never will. And this is because the connection that he has made with people. Hop has inspired kids and now famous rappers to think outside the box, not to follow the status quo blueprints. Everything from the do-it-yourself approach to being honest with yourself and the life that you truly want to live. Hop has never hidden the fact that he is a complicated and complex human being with many attributes, but also many flaws. Through relentless work, unique creativity, and an imagination the size of planet Earth, Hop has surely ingrained his name in the museum of hip-hop.